All right, today we're diving into some of the biggest takeaways from my recent Japan trip. I know last week we kind of caught up and we're just talking about what the trip was and just stuff going on in our life. But in this one, I know we wanted to break down more of what I saw, what stood out, how it applies to your life, especially when it comes to your health, your fitness, and how you're living day to day.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I've never been in Japan. I've always wanted to go, but I feel like when you go somewhere like that, or anywhere like that you're not used to, you start noticing patterns, right? And I'll do that honestly. Like I'll go to the beach or I go to the pool and I'll just kind of watch. It's interesting to me. Like I'm very observant. I like the whole behavioral psychology thing. So I like to see what people do and I see how they live and things like that. So um I love America. It's the best country in the world, but we do have a lot of flaws and we have a lot of luxuries. And I think um because we have those luxuries, we also have some issues that other countries don't have to deal with. And so that's something we're going to talk about as well. And I don't know. Did you ever watch that documentary? It came out a while ago. It was like you're smiling. Have you seen this? It was like six. It was, oh, okay.
I thought you would know not to ask me these things.
You never know. Yeah. Nick and I, one of our other trainers, were talking to Mackenzie the other day, and she's like, "Oh, I watched a movie on the plane," and we're like, "What'd you watch?" And she's like, "I can't even remember."
I really don't.
So we have no idea. I don't even know what's going on here. Watch the whole movie, and you have no idea what it was.
I couldn't even tell you what happened in either. That's the sad part. Yeah.
Uh, See, you should have gone to us. You should have said, "Hey, what should I be watching on the plane, guys?"
I should
And
have.
we could have steered you in the right direction, and we could
No,
have
but to
asked
be
you questions.
yeah, to be fair, the partner I was traveling with, he watches a lot of movies, so he was, like, going through them all. He literally went through every single one. He's like, "Alright, this is gonna be, like, the top one you should watch, like, this one will be good too." So I was like, "Alright, cool, it'll be great." But I don't know, I just don't maybe it's just I don't have mental capacity to remember these things anymore. My last brain cell is holding on for dear life, man.
You know what? I'm the opposite. Like real life, I'm like all over the place, but movies, man, I can remember like every scene. I can remember lines. Like, oh man, that's probably not a good thing. But anyway, so there was a documentary. A lot of people watched it. It was like The Secret of the Blue Zones, like how to live to 100 and things like that. And it was on Netflix. It was really popular, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And really, I pulled out three things that was very common with people that lived to like 100. Right? It was like they all moved a lot, they all ate a lot of whole foods, and they all had really great community. And so that's kind of the things that we're going to kind of focus on today as we talk about what you observed in Japan.
I love that. I mean, I feel like that's basically all the 3 things that we preach in general. Either way, it's like those are such core fundamental things, so it makes sense.
Yes, well, it was funny because the moderator or the host, whatever you want to call him, the way he spoke, it was like this was like shocking, like like earth breaking, and like no one knew what was going on here, and like they were cracking a code, and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, well, yeah, of course, that's what we've been talking about for years. I mean, that's not this kind of thing, right?
That's so funny. Yeah, people are looking for this big magic hack or whatever. I'm like, literally, like, we got proof now. There you go.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah.
You think it's just like it's like boring, so people don't want to, or people don't look at it the same way. They want something that's more exciting or something that's going to get them to whatever result they want faster.
Oh, I'm sure people were like hoping, like you said, for some secret method or something that they do, some kind of food that only they can eat, and they were probably done like, well, that was boring because I could have told you that, and I don't want to do all that stuff, so whatever.
Yeah, basics never fail. We always talk about that. That's what it comes down to.
Let's always come back to the basics.
Speaking of the Japan trip, though, I forget if I mentioned this before, but, on my flight back or, like, on my long ass travel day back, I booked 2 more trips for next year. Already get ahead,
Sweet.
further on the books.
Yes. Hey, do it. So where are we going?
Um, where are we going? Oh, first one is gonna be Rome, Sicily, and Amalfi Coast, and then the second one is gonna be an African safari in Kenya.
Nice. And I've never been either, so of course you're gonna have to share everything. But so are you looking forward to one more than the other?
Uh Looking forward to the safari one. I feel like that's just something I wanted to do for a while. I feel like it'd be very unique to see a lot of animals and just being, I don't know, just something very different than normal day to day here. But other than that, my stance on vacations is pretty much the same. It's like I don't really look forward to it until I'm actually there, and when I can enjoy it a little bit more. But other than that, it's just gonna cost stress, which is why I book them out so far. Just I have them on there so that way it's like they're just there. I don't worry about it until they come up, and then I go on my trip like I do in Japan, and we roll with it.
Yeah, I like that. I like both places. I've never been there, but I love the Roman history.
Mm.
Anytime I see a documentary or something on Rome or a show on a series on Rome, I watch it because I don't know why. I just think it's very interesting to me, and so I've always wanted to go and visit more so just for the Roman culture. And yeah, safari would be so much fun. I love animals, and I'd have a blast. And just being hot all the time, it'd be the best. I love it.
Right. Okay, it's funny you say that about Roman culture. So I think there was like it was some trend or just some meme or joke going around. It was a while back, but it's like how the girls would ask their boyfriends, "How often do you think about the Roman Empire?" And I don't know, I forget what it was like a big thing. Like apparently guys is like they think about it as like some manly, like masculine thing. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, "Oh, that's funny, of course."
So, like, if they thought a lot about it, then they're
Yeah.
more masculine than if they didn't?
I don't know what it was, but it was just like a thing
Uh,
where their girlfriends would ask their boyfriends and they would say something along the lines. So it's like it's just funny the fact that they're even thinking about that to begin with. I I don't know.
well, I mean, the Roman Empire was so powerful, and I think maybe that there were so many wars and battles and, leaders, and there's just so much. I mean, all the movies that were made about it, it's so interesting. So maybe it's a guy thing, I don't know.
I think we actually have a client too. He when he joined, he's like send us the picture of the glider. He's like, "This is what I want to be like." And then every single time he'll send like gifs of just like him doing that or just like out there with a sword or whatnot. So I think of that too.
Gladiator is a good movie. That's one you should go
Haven't
watch.
seen it.
I know you haven't. That's what I was, I didn't even, I wanna ask if you I knew for sure you hadn't seen it, so I was just saying that's a classic. That's a
Actually,
classic.
that one was on my flight. I saw that as one
Oh,
of the options.
if you would've watched that, you would've remembered it. You remembered it. It's really good.
I don't know about all that. I was joking, like, that was my one movie for the whole year, so we could try again next year.
On
Maybe
the
on one of
flight.
my trips.
Yeah, you have 2 more flights coming up, so we got 2 movies. We gotta plan ahead of time and figure out what you can watch on there.
Right. Anyway, what's going on with you?
Well, I was this is just on top of my mind because this has happened the last couple of days, and one of the things we're gonna talk about also about Japan and some of the other cultures is their high standards. And so this is kind of a story about the opposite, super low standards. So we have a staff bathroom, and yeah, I work with mostly women. So of course, even the men's bathroom are used by women, right? Well, I go in there the other day and I look on the ground. And to keep in mind, this is a staff bathroom, so only adults can use it. And there was like a brown smear on the ground. So immediately I'm stepping out of there and making a huge deal about this because I don't want people thinking that, hey, this guy came out of
Yeah,
the bathroom and did something, right? So I was like, guys, there's something on the ground. It's brown, it's nasty looking. And so they came over and investigated, and it was determined that it was probably chocolate chips that had been smeared on the ground. Maybe someone stepped on it and smeared it, right? So then I immediately thought, okay, who is eating chocolate chip cookies in a bathroom? So that immediately disgusted me, right? And no one cleans it, by the way. Everyone just leaves it right there. And so, I mean, luckily, the janitors cleaned up the next day. Well, uh, yesterday I go into the bath, or a couple of days ago, I go into the bathroom, and guess what I find on the ground? A piece of chocolate chip cookie. Like a whole entire piece, like, it's not like a little tiny, like a big chunk. I don't know how you didn't notice you dropped a piece of chocolate chip
they're
cookie,
just
right?
messing with you at this point.
Yeah, right. Well, then I'm like, okay, someone is eating chocolate chip cookies in the bathroom, not like once, not like on my way in. This is like a multiple thing, right? So it's on the ground, which again, no one picked it up, which I thought was pretty disgusting. And so I don't know. I don't know what's more disgusting. No one's cleaning the stuff up, or someone's eating chocolate chip cookies in a bathroom. Well, the next day I go in there, it's still there, the exact same spot. No one has been over 24 hours and no one has cleaned this thing up, right? And so then I was like going in like every few hours just to check on this chocolate chip cookie. It's still there. And luckily, Update today, I went in there and it was gone. But while I was in there yesterday checking out this chocolate chip cookie that was on the bathroom floor, I saw a dime that would happen to be in the corner, and the dime's still there. So the thing was swept up, but still, and it's not getting cleaned very well. And I don't know. People are eating chocolate chip cookies in bathrooms, leaving smears. It's just disgusting. And so I'm blown away that adults are using bathrooms and treating things like this. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that?
First of all, very suspicious. Interesting activity. I don't know. Because I think, well, I guess for context for everyone's like you're a teacher right now as well. So maybe they're like trying to like they don't have a second. I don't know like what schedule. Maybe like they don't have a second or like alone without the kids, and they're just like, oh, I need a break. But then again, like, why would you go to the bathroom? I don't know. I just feel like that still doesn't make sense.
So I get if someone's like, "Hey, I grabbed a chocolate chip cookie and I was rushing in there because I had to get back somewhere." But then I'm like, "Okay, well, if you spilled something,
Mm,
clean it up."
yeah.
I mean, surely you noticed that you smeared the chocolate chip all over the floor, or that you dropped a piece of chocolate chip and just left it on the ground. I don't know. Maybe people don't notice this stuff, but I don't know.
I think that is kind of just, dare I say, like part of our culture. I don't know. Like, I think a lot of times people just assume, especially in that situation, like, oh, like someone's gonna clean it. It's like someone has a job to clean it. It's like, yeah, they do, but also like someone has a job to take care of the grocery carts at the store, but you should still put your cart back, or like someone has a job to clean equipment at the gym, but you should still wipe it down, like that type of thing. I don't know. So I feel like people just assume it's like, oh, someone will take care of it or whatever, but it's just everyone operates that way, so it's become normal almost, unfortunately.
Well, that is a good point. There's actually when you're talking about influence and like social proof and things like that, people tend to do things that other people are doing. And that actually just made me think about and it's been a while since I read the story, but in the book Tipping Point, which is a phenomenal book, it's basically about how one little thing, one little change kind of changes the entire outcome of whatever the event is, right? And so one of the examples was subways in New York City and graffiti on them. And when someone would do graffiti and they would leave it alone or whatever they're doing to clean it up, it just got dirtier and dirtier. And the thought was, okay, well, maybe we should just make sure it's super clean. And it was interesting because when they didn't clean it like right away, people assumed, oh, it's already dirty,
Mm,
so I'm going to leave my own stuff, or no one else cares about it, so why should I care about it? But the minute they made it like a point that everything was clean, like everything was super clean, then people noticed and they treated it differently. And so if they dropped something, they picked it up, or they didn't leave their own trash. And so, I mean, it could have very well been something like that.
mhm. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that would definitely never happen in Japan, that's for sure.
Yes, and that's one of the things I was thinking about. I was like, I guarantee this wouldn't happen in Japan. All right, let's talk about Japan. Let's compare Japan and some of those cultures and some of the things that we do in America that we do well, and some of the things that we could probably improve on.
Yeah, and too, that's not to say like you said, America's awesome, like, America, let's go.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Everyone has, like, there's all, like, flaws, like, even Japan has their own flaws, like, so it's not like we're saying, "Go, Japan is better," it's just, like, things that I noticed that are different than here, and then obviously, like, we do a lot of things that are a lot better than there, so just disclaimer, disclaimer. Um, First things to immediately, though, everyone walks. Is not just getting their steps like, movement is built into their daily life. Walking to the train, walking throughout the city, stairs everywhere, constant movement, and I don't think it's something that people actively think about there. I feel like here, a lot of people are like, I need to go out and get steps, which is great that we're thinking about that. I think the fitness industry has kinda, like, pushed that more and, like, we're starting to realize, like, "Hey, we live very sedentary lives, we need to be more active." But I think for them, it's not something they think about just because it is so automatic and it's just the way that they live. Like I said, I was averaging 25, 30,000 steps a day when I was there. Granted, like, we were going and seeing a lot and, like, doing a lot of sightseeing and stuff, but they did this on purpose. Their cities are designed for movement. Even after World War II, I think a lot of their infrastructure was rebuilt, and they had, like, basically, especially in Tokyo, all the streets are very narrow, especially compared to where did I end up last? I think I was in Osaka last, and it's just, like, that's more of the cities that we have here where they're, like, bigger and wider, but, like, Tokyo and Kyoto very small, narrow to help promote walking. And so when they had to go and rebuild it all, they rebuilt it around that public transportation and walkability. Like they did it exactly the same for that reason. So it really doesn't give you a choice but to move. Especially when you're on the trains and that's their main mode of transportation everywhere between stations, upstairs is just a part of life. Um, and I think that's a big difference from here where everything is built around convenience and driving and Uber Eats and all the things.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is the great thing. One of the great things about America is we have a lot of land, a lot of space, and so we didn't have to. We weren't forced to build really small cities. If you look at like San Francisco, I think that's when they do like the research and those studies, like it's one of the healthiest in terms of people getting a lot of steps in, and that's because it's a smaller city. Everyone walks everywhere. The parking is almost impossible. It's hard to drive around there, and so people walk, and it's easier to do that. In Houston, I grew up in Houston. I absolutely love Houston, but it's so spread out that I mean, we joke around. Anywhere you go takes 45 minutes, and you're still in Houston. But you have to drive. It's not like you can walk a lot of places, and so sometimes you just don't have that option, which would be ideal. But so I think what we need to kind of think about is, okay, like how can I get more movement in the day? And I think a lot of times that focus turns into, okay, I got my workout in. But that's really really small part of your day, 30, 45 minutes, an hour type of thing. So if you think about a typical job, a lot of us sit all day and then we go from like the desk to the car and to the couch, right? Type of things. Even if we do get a great workout in, that's phenomenal, but we do need to move more often. And so it's not something that we can just add in at the end of the day, or even sometimes in the beginning of the day. We have to kind of do things throughout the day and think about, okay, how can I walk more? Let me rephrase it. How can I move more? You know, it
Mhm.
may be, okay, I'm going to park on the opposite side of the parking lot so I can get a longer walk to the grocery store or whatever I'm doing. Or I'm going to take the stairs instead of going the elevator. Or during meetings, I want to get up and walk down the hallway and walk back. So I think we just have to be a little more intentional. We can definitely do it. Like you said, I don't know if I can get 25, 30,000 steps every day with the way I live, but uh, I know that I can get more steps in if I'm more intentional about how I do that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I like what you said about going to the gym isn't enough. I always say that all the time too. It's great, like, you wanna get in your workout, but thinking that that's enough activity, then you're literally sitting the rest of the entire day. That's still unhealthy. You're still living a very sedentary life. So, like you said, you wanna incorporate that movement throughout the day. Oh, one funny thing too, uh, when I was in Japan, naturally, I was getting a bunch of, like, Japanese, or just, like, Japan-based, like, reels and stuff on Instagram every time I go on there, and my friend was, like, sending me funny ones as he saw it, and I saw one that was, like, Instagram versus reality. Japan, it's, like, all all the sights and the food and all the stuff, and then reality, it's literally just the subway stairs, walking up and down them, and I'm like, "That is so accurate. Those are brutal." So, second one I wanted to talk about that I noticed is health and longevity. And you can see the result of that. Japan has one of the highest life expectancies in the world. I think it's mid 80s on average. They have lower obesity rates, lower rates of chronic disease as well.
Feel like if you asked 100 people, what is the most important health goal of yours? I think most people would say something about their physique, aesthetics, right? I want to lose weight. I want to get a six pack or something like that. And so I don't feel like health slash like longevity, like living a longer life that's more quality based is the focus for a lot of people. And then yes, if you ask them, like, oh yeah, I want to live a long life and I want to feel great, but that's not really like the everyday decisions that they make aren't really backing up that thought, right? It's more so, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, right? And I feel like we focus much more on emotions and feelings, and than we do about, and when I say that, I mean when I'm making when we make decisions, right, of about what we're eating or the things we're doing, we focus more so on how is this going to make me feel as opposed to um, how in this moment, how this is going to make me feel in this moment, as opposed to how is my future self 20, 30, 40 years down the road going to feel based on the decisions I'm making right now.
Mhm.
And so we were looking up some statistics, and I think Japan life expectancy is 84, 85 years old, and which is I think it's like the top in the world. It's one of the number one life expectancies. But the obesity rate is what really stood out to me. If you look at Japan's obesity rate, it's like I think 4%. and the US is like 40%, which is insane, the difference between I mean, you don't have to know anything about math, just figure out that is a huge difference, right? And so, Okinawa, is that how you say that? That's one of the blue zones. I think that's actually one of the places they talked about in that documentary. It has like one of the highest populations of people living 100 plus. That's not a small difference. That's like a completely whole nother level of focus on health. I mean, that's, one of my goals. I mean, yeah, I do have a lot of aesthetic goals in the short term, but I also have the long-term goals of like, I want to live like past 100 and not just like, be in a hospital bed for years to say I'm hanging on, I'm, whatever. Like, I want to live a happy, healthy life where I'm walking around 100 years old and people are like, how old are you again? Like, this is insane.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I talk to a lot of when I do a lot of discovery calls with clients, that's what comes up when we actually get to the deeper meaning behind things. I think usually up front people say, like you said, it's like, I want to look good, I want to lose weight, I want to get more shredded, whatever it is. When we really break it down, they're like, yeah, I want to be able to play with my grandkids. I don't want to be limited by my body and my layers. I don't want to be a burden on my family. Like, I want to live a long, full, healthy life. I want to enjoy retirement, travel, like do all the things. And a lot of people like want to be that 70, 80-year-old that's like out there like doing the sport they love and crushing it, like showing up on like all the 40, 50-year-olds and like showing them what's up. Like that's the type of mentality. So I feel like going in with that approach too, naturally you're gonna get the outcome that you want of the aesthetic goals and the weight loss and all that too. But like we were saying too, even in the blue zones and even in just the day-to-day people where they have that 4% obesity, it's like they're not doing anything extreme. It's just those baseline foundational habits, the movement, smaller portions, higher food quality, eating more intentionally, and the standards that they have for their self.
And I understand, but I feel like this is where a lot of people overcomplicate things, right? They when they decide, okay, I need to make some changes, I need to get healthier, I want to lose some weight, they automatically jump to, like you said, intense things, extreme things, right? Like strict diets or crazy workouts that are super long or super intense, or they start cutting everything out. They cut out all sugar, all carbs, or something like that. But just like you said, I mean, it comes down to just doing simple habits consistently, like over and over and over again, and just real basic. And that's where people that's the part that people skip, right? They want that intensity instead of the consistency. And yes, it's going to take a little bit of time. You have to have some patience worked in there, but it's all about the consistent habits every day that you do, and that's going to get you to where you want to be. So I think the Japanese diet probably emphasizes more like smaller portions, a more variety of foods, definitely slower eating. I know I'm kinda guilty of all these. I tend to eat, larger portions at once. I tend to eat, the same types of foods, and then I eat like a madman when I'm eating. I mean, it's like I've never eaten before in my life. So, I mean, I can definitely, take a lot of cues from Japanese as well as other cultures that do that as well, and I wrote this down. I don't know how to say it. It's harahachibu? Is that how you say that? Is that right? Or
Yeah, I was there for 2 weeks. Don't ask me these things.
that sounds good. I don't know if
Seems
I
legit.
butchered it. Sorry, guys. But I think that phrase means like eat until 80% full, right? And it's linked to longevity. People don't stuff themselves. They eat till they enjoy the food and they eat until they're like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, it's cool they have a concept, like a cultural concept around that. Just goes to show.
Yeah, it really is.
Speaking of the longevity and being that person that's in your 70s and just crushing it, my tour guide actually told us a story because he sounds like he's fairly active. Like he was like decently into fitness too, which was cool. Like I connected with him on that. But when he has time, like he tries to go and explore Japan and like goes to all the peaks and likes going on these hikes and stuff. And one of the ones that stuck with me is he went to, I think it was one of the highest peaks in Japan or something. It was like a pretty big hike, and like he showed up with no equipment or whatever. And then there was this older couple that was like walking up with him. They were in their 70s at least, and basically like he ended up. They invited him to go with them, just because I think they were a little nervous for him because like they had been going to all the highest peaks in Japan, or I don't know if it was worldwide or whatever. But they invited him in, so he was just like hanging out with them and went on this long hike with them. And he learned that they were going to all these big peaks and like they were freaking crushing it. Like they made it like kind of less than the buzz, like they were doing it with ease, which is a surprise because he was in his 30s too. So it was just really cool to see that. And that's kind of the standard. Like he sees that all the time. And that was those moments where it clicked for me. It's like that's what it's all about. It's not about looking a certain way. It's about being able to live your life like that. And um it just like in their culture, all the older adults remain a lot more active longer. I saw so many people, like I said, walking up to temples, hiking upstairs, like just like moving a lot more when you can tell that they were like in their later years. And to be fair, they looked a lot younger too. Like people would tell us their age. I was like, oh wow, like you look great, you look young. Um, and then even lower rates of mobility related disability compared to like Western countries like here in the US. Um, just because it's normal there. They never stop moving. And then I think here a lot of people kind of give up and accept defeat and they stop moving in their 30s and 40s and then they try to restart in their 50s and 60s, which is great, but it's like you're catching up. So you don't want to get to that point where you lose the ability because you always heard that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. And it's true.
Yeah, and I'm sure people like that have more confidence, they're more joyful, and, I mean, I get it. I mean, if I have a little injury, I'm kinda grumpy, right? Because you don't feel great, and so you wanna move like, you feel like you're really good. You don't wanna feel like you're hindered or so, like, I get it. A lot of people are just kinda like, "Oh, I'm not feeling great. I can't do things," and then they stop doing things altogether, and it just gets worse and worse, and so, uh, but again, like we talked about, those small habits consistently, that's gonna prevent a lot of those, and you'll be happier and healthier and be able to do things like hiking up mountains in your 70s and 80s.
Yeah. And I really did get hit with that too. I think every time I go on one of these trips, like when I was in Peru, kind of saw the same thing and on this one because and I want to preface this by saying, like, I say this with like the most love. Like, I don't want it to like not coming from judgment. It's just an observation and it's something that I used to fuel my own journey and like something I see a lot when I talk to clients and when I get on strategy calls with people. But there was a lot of people in my group, and keep in mind this is all like 20s and 30s, 30-year olds. They had to turn down one of the hikes that we went on. It was just like a 40-minute incline. Like it was pretty moderate to be honest, like walking up to temple. They had to decline just because like they didn't think they could do it. Or there were some people that went and they were just struggling on it. And again, like I was saying, that's not to be judgmental, like, I don't wanna live my life that way, like, that is the driving force for me, that's what like I said, we talk to clients all the time where it's not just, "I wanna lose weight," it's, "I wanna have more energy, I wanna feel confident, I wanna be able to live life and travel and experience things and keep up with my kids and not be limited by my body," and that's the reality of it, because if something feels that hard now, like, that's gonna compound in 10 years, 20 years, and that's what we wanna be working against, not just the weight or the amount of scale, but the ability to live life, um that's what it's all about. Genuinely would hate myself if I could not travel or enjoy experiences because I was out of shape. Like we're in Japan, like hiking up a temple. And like same with Peru. Like granted, that one was a lot harder. We were like 15,000 feet in the air. So that was still tougher, but like still, I would be so mad at myself if I couldn't have that experience. Cause like those are some of the memories that I will remember the rest of my life, especially the one in Peru. That was so freaking cool. We were on Rainbow Mountains, 15,000 feet in the air. Like if I couldn't do that because my body wasn't I mean, like, I would that would be a wake-up call for me, and, like, I would get my ass into gear, personally. So I feel like that's just one of those things where you're starting to see it, and you're starting to see, people already accept that. It's like, do not accept that way of living. You can change it, just don't like, you gotta start using it. Gotta start moving your body.
I think what you said, you don't wanna be limited by the decisions that you've made, right?
Mhm,
And so, I mean, there are obviously some times where, you have no choice. You're just not able to for whatever reason, but a lot of times it's just because the decisions we're making daily, and it's not like one big decision, it's little decisions every day that we're making that prevent us from having some amazing experiences.
mhm. Yeah.
Alright, so if you're listening and you're like, "All right, so what am I gonna do with all this? This sounds interesting. I love it, but what can I do?" So here's a few things. And again, we're gonna go back to nothing extreme, nothing crazy, just simple, real adjustments. So one is walk more than you think you need to. And we're not talking about, a certain number. The 10,000 number is out there, but that's just a number that was put out there. It's not a magic number. You just need to move more in your day. And I think the more you move, you'll probably start getting motivated to move even more after that. But wherever you are, whether you have 1,000 steps every day or 4,000 steps, just move more throughout the day. Again, you have to be intentional. Think about what can I do every single day all throughout my day in different parts of my day where I can just move and be more active. Another thing is build your meals around protein and whole foods. And we haven't talked about that as much yet, but not perfect eating again, just better defaults, come up with go-to meals and just think about and a lot of us, most of us know when we eat a meal that we shouldn't be eating or some of the foods we shouldn't be eating, that we can make better decisions. It's just actually making that decision and not having the excuses behind why we're not doing that. So it's just build around protein, eat whole foods. Stop trying to overhaul everything. Focus on one or two or three habits that you can actually stick to, master that, and then move on to the next thing to continue to optimize your health journey. And then raise your standards slightly. We're definitely not talking about perfection, but just have more intention in what you're doing every single day. Think about what are the things I can do today that my future self will appreciate me doing.
Yeah, and what you said about not having to hit perfection, that was something I took into this trip. I didn't treat it like I had to be perfect, and a lot of people that we work with struggle with staying on track while they're traveling or when they're on the road or when things get busy, and so I think that's an important topic to talk about too, and, like, what I did to stay on track, like, because. Like I said in the last one, I went crazy on food. Like, I ate a lot of food. I tried all the things. I feel like that was most of the trip was just, like, figuring out restaurants to go to and things to try and all that.
And that's a
But I
fun
feel
part of traveling, right?
yeah, especially in a place like that, like, it's part of the experience. Yeah, so I went wild, but I still came back at the same weight, so I didn't gain a single pound while I was there, which to be honest, I was a little shocked. But it's because, like, I had the anchors. Even going back to the point you made too of focusing on 2 or 3 habits that you can stick to, it's like, pick some anchors. For me, it was movement. That was easy. Like I said, naturally, I was getting a lot of movement in, and I went to the gym a couple times while I was there too, and I had a little bit of downtime. Gym is different than the walking. Like, I was getting a lot of activity. When I got into the gym and just did like some light exercises, did some mobility, like I felt healed. Like I felt so much better, especially after the long ass flight. I was sitting on a plane for 12 hours. So like it felt really, really good to get in some movement. So I was just prioritizing that when I could. Like I didn't set any targets as far as I need to hit workouts, but I craved that and I wanted to. And when I had access to it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get a quick workout before dinner or whatever it is. So movement was one of the anchors. Protein was another one, just prioritizing that as much as I could, especially in some of those meals where they were a lot higher carb. I had protein snacks. I brought protein powder, beef sticks, and I would just eat some of those before I went out or before I went to a meal, just in between stuff to make sure I was getting in enough protein and prioritize that in my meals when I got it, trying to order extra protein on certain stuff, things like that. Staying hydrated, brought some electrolytes with me, was just bringing my water everywhere with me. So hydrating a ton and then just connection with God. Like I brought my Bible. I was doing like praying when I could, like reading the Bible every single day. So like those are my core anchors that I kept. And as long as I did that, like the whole trip was a win. Like that's all I had to do. And that's what I stuck to. And then I think that is what allowed me to come back like at that same way and not having gone off the rails or not having to really reset and get back on track. It's like I had those main anchors and I can just add back in, okay, I'm back to tracking macros now that I'm home, or I'm back to hitting my normal workouts, things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of people look at it, and I view it too. Vacations is kind of like not I don't want to say an escape from life, but it's very different from the everyday, right? And
Very.
so you do get to do different things. Maybe you go out to eat more often, or you enjoy different types of meals, or you're in a different, city or whatever, and you have different workouts, things like that. But like you said, you can still have those anchors, And I'll just give you a quick example, like the workouts. A lot of people will look at, okay, well, I can't get my normal workout in, so I'm just not going to do any kind of workout. And it would be so much more beneficial if they just did some body weight squats or they did some super light weights or just did something at the very least just to continue to strengthen that identity of, hey, they are someone who prioritizes their health. And one of the ways is getting their workouts in. And that's not to say you can't not work out during a vacation. Sometimes that works out well too. But if you were intending to, and things pop up, there's a lot of ways we can get in without getting that perfect workout in.
Yeah. I Me going into that too, I already knew my workouts were gonna be absolutely nothing like my normal program workout. I was totally fine with that. Like that was the goal. It's like I just want to move. That's literally it. I just want to get in there and move, do something that feels good, just get a little bit extra movement, like get some mobility in, and that is what I had. Like that was the target. Like I don't expect it to be anything like my normal workouts. So I think it's going in and read that right mentality too.
Yeah, and for me, I just like that to keep that routine going. I'll work out in the morning, and it just like you said, the workout is totally different. And sometimes I even have fun with it. I just create a different workout just for a vacation. But the goal is to get that workout in and to establish, hey, that's my routine. I get that workout in the morning. I feel so much better for the rest of the day, and I just feel like that's my structure, and I feel more complete throughout the day.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think that's a big key that we typically coach clients on too is whenever you're going on trips, like have anchors. Figure out the nature of your trip, figure out like what things are gonna look like, have those main anchors. Obviously, if it's more of a routine business trip, maybe like you'll be a little bit more structured, regimented. If it's more of a vacation, you'll be less. Again, just have those anchors. Um, then also too, like I said, I packed a lot of snacks, a lot of protein snacks, and then at airports, I think that's a big one. I know we were talking about people watching. I think in just in general at airports, how people are eating, like that's a good place to really practice. One, you can pack food with you. I did some of that, and then like we were saying, there's a lot of great protein options now that you can snag. For me, like, my go-to is honestly, like, Starbucks turkey bacon sandwiches when all else fails, if there's not a lot of options, like, those are high protein, lower calorie, and I'll just, like, eat a bunch of protein bars, beef sticks, stuff like that, so, like, you don't need to eat the entire day when you're at the airport, especially if you're sitting all day, it's like, you don't need to eat a ton, or practice fasting too, it's a good time for that.
Yeah, well, that brings a couple other ideas is having a plan and being prepared for it. I think that's a huge win going into your trip, and so you're not having to panic or having to figure out last second. Because usually if we try to make a last second decision like that, it's usually not the best decision. Like we said earlier, we kind of rely on our emotions or feelings about, do I choose something that I know is better for me, or do I choose something that I know is going to taste really good? We end up going with that tasting really good, as opposed to if we already have that protein stack ready to go, we can eat that and feel good about it.
Mhm, and there were so many times too where I would eat that protein snack before like, that is a hack, like, it seems counterintuitive to eat that before you go out to dinner or something, but it really does help a ton with reducing how much you eat and the cravings that you have. Because the days I didn't do that was, like, the revolving sushi one where I went absolutely crazy and ate way too much. So, always have those on deck, always utilize extra protein, and even just in day-to-day, like, it's good to have a little bit of protein snack before you got to dinner or something just to help with the cravings and help get the protein in.
Well, and that's a good little bonus tip too. If you are going to have something that has a lot of sugar in it, it's really good to start off with something high in protein. So let's say you're craving something at Starbucks that has like 30 grams of sugar, and you're like, I want this, I'm going to have it. Having something high in protein like a beef stick before is going to stabilize that blood sugar, so you don't have that big hit afterwards. So even though, yeah, you're taking in a lot of sugar, the way your body responds to it is not going to be as kind of crazy for lack of terms, as it would be if you just had that by itself.
But yeah, 100%. Another thing I was thinking about too is stress makes a big difference. I guarantee if I was stressed like I normally am, which I'm working on,
We're
I
working on that. This can be a new low key, low stress Mackenzie.
I don't know what that's like. That's a whole other podcast episode. But I imagine if I was in that high stress state, like I bet I would have gained a lot more weight on that trip, truthfully, because I was a lot less stressed there. And that just goes to show how much stress impacts your body and the way that your body responds to things.
Yeah, very true, very true.
All right, last one that stood out to me, like I mentioned, was just the culture and their pride that they have in it and like the standards that they have. They take pride in everything. Every single like no matter what their job was, they were doing it to such a high level. Just in the way they prepare food, the way they run businesses, the way they clean stuff, the way they move throughout the day, the way that they care themselves. There's a higher standard. And I think that carries over into health too. It's not forced, it's just the way that they live. And I think that was super inspiring.
Yeah, I was joking around about my chocolate chip story, and it would be fair if someone was like, "Well, why didn't you just pick up the chocolate chip cookie?" And that's fair. But now, for in my defense, it was a little case study. I wanted to see how long it was on there. I wasn't going to touch the smear because I don't know what that is. But the chocolate chip cookie, yes, I could have picked that up, but I did want to see how long it was going to be there. But it is, and it doesn't matter what country you're in. I've been places in America that everything is just kept really well. It's clean, and everyone in there has those standards, and that's what we pick up. I remember one of the things that when I was working at Camp Ozark as a counselor, in college. We had this, it was kind of a challenge every morning. They had whoever had the cleanest cabin would get to be first in line at the breakfast hall. And so the one of the other counselors we made a huge deal, and I carried that on to every cabin that I was in after that, that we won those things as often as possible. And that made a big difference in everything we did. Like one, our cabin was always clean. And it was just always clean the rest of the day because we'd already established that, hey, we have a clean cabin. And so the kids didn't want to mess up that cabin and vice versa. I'd been in cabins where the counselors didn't really care that much, and it was like chaos. There's stuff
Mhm.
everywhere, and so, we didn't really teach that like the rest of the day. We didn't tell the kids we're gonna be clean kids or anything like that. They just kinda like, "Oh, we just cleaned all this up. We kept it nice and neat. We're gonna keep that the rest of the day," and it made a huge difference, and they took a lot of pride in that, and so, I think that's a big difference. So that's something that I try to do, even though I don't always do it. But just even if it's not my mess, just cleaning it up and making your environment um, a better environment. And I do feel like we're going back to stress. And I think there's a lot of research that backs us up that when we're in a nice, organized, clean environment, we have a lot less stress and we tend to think more clearly and are more productive just in general.
Yeah, I know you and I have talked about that a lot now. I'm definitely a psycho about, like, everything needs to be in a certain spot. If it's not, like, I cannot sit down and work until everything is organized and where it needs to be and clean.
And I think that probably does help you with the de-stressing.
Yeah. I even like what you said. Like, that's a mentality that I like to take with me anywhere I go. It's like, I just wanna leave it better than what I found it. At the gym, like, I'll literally be, like, organizing things or, like, moving stuff around, making it sure it's neat and clean, things like that. It's like, everywhere I go, I wanna leave it a better place than I found it. I think that's just a good mentality to go into your life with.
Yeah, so I think the biggest shift from this trip probably is that health isn't something that they chase or anyone else who lives a healthy life. It's just something that their lifestyle supports. So it's those daily habits that they complete consistently, right? And so most of those people aren't trying to force results and trying to do the quick fix or super high intense. I got to get somewhere in this amount of time. It's just building a life that naturally produces everything.
Mhm.
Good results, I should say. All right, so closing out, you don't need to overhaul your life, right? You just have to have or shift a few defaults, right? So build your meals around whole foods, high protein, fruits, vegetables, cook simple meals 3 or 4 times a week, type of thing at home. Add background movement, and that's just doing little movements throughout the day, right? Walking 10 minutes after meals are fantastic. Parking further away, taking the stairs when possible. Just add more movement throughout the day. And then one thing we didn't really talk a whole lot about, but I imagine the Japanese, as well as other cultures, especially in that documentary, was community,
Mm.
right? And eating a meal without screens, at least one big meal with family or friends, or even just by yourself, but just without screens, and sitting and talking with family and friends and coworkers and having good conversations, not just hey, how you doing type of thing. Like, hey, tell me about your life, like what's going on, and really diving deep into their life, and then combining those habits, of course, like walking with somebody or cooking with somebody or doing something fun. I think can be a big shift. Small changes to your environment and small changes to your routine is going to be more powerful than just relying on willpower. So, if you take anything from this episode, you don't need a complete overhaul. You just need better daily standards, more movement, better food choices, more awareness, and most importantly, a body that can actually support the life that you want to live. So, at the end of the day, that's the goal. Not just looking different, but living differently. So, if this episode got you thinking a little differently about how you're living day to day, then hey, we achieved our goal, right? Because this isn't about trying to be perfect or overhauling anything overnight. It's really just about starting to build a lifestyle that actually supports your health instead of constantly fighting against it.
Yeah, and if you are someone who's busy and traveling and eating on the go or just feel like you don't have time to cook a lot, we put together a healthy fast food cheat sheet that makes it really easy to stay on track without overthinking it. So it gives you simple options, easy swaps, and things that you can grab anywhere that still support your goals. So I will link that in the show notes. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future ones. And if it's resonated with you or someone you know has been struggling with consistency or just feeling limited in your body, send it to them. We'd love for you to share it, and we will catch you on the next one.